Put God first. Read some Bible scripture. Jesus loves you so very much, man. I'm gonna chat about how I made my friends, all coming from an adult who is on the autism spectrum. This is all going to be based on my personal experiences, so that's why it's how I made my friends, not specifically how to make friends, but you can definitely use this as inspiration. I got you, bro. Maybe you have wanted something new to think about when it comes to friendships. I have to talk about mindset. Do not only choose to be friends with people that text back right away. Do not only choose to be friends with people, well, specifically the one thing that comes to mind, do not only choose to be friends with people that you text first, they text first. You text first, they text first. First. You know what I mean? Be friends with people that even if one of y'all texts 90% of the time first, that's okay. What matters is that they are respectful and kind, and you enjoy striking up a conversation with them. You enjoy maybe talking to them on the conversations that you talk to them on text with. So maybe you talk about clothing, maybe you talk about music and movies and TV shows. That is definitely what I mean specifically about mindset. Remember, kindness is what matters. And as long as you are having a really fantastic time talking to that person on the phone or on text or on Instagram DMs or on Snapchat, you know what I mean, bro? I started going to a brand new church. I really enjoy getting to go there. What's really important is being in the right community, bro. The reason why that's obviously important is because you want to make the right friends. Making friends with everyone, you will feel possibly overwhelmed, and it's like, but who am I friends with? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between like being friends with thousands of people, because you cannot be friends with thousands of people, but then there's people that you're actually friends with. You know, there's a difference between being friendly and being friends with someone. Love that I have found the right community for me. And specifically, what is the right community for me? It has like another tip laced into it. And that is, so first thing is this, okay? Well, first point after this one. And that is, they are around my age. These are people around my age. And that is very, very important to me to make those friends. And that is the Christian community that you actually want to be a part of. You want to be a part of a Christian community where it is people around your age. Obviously, like, Christian community, yes, it's important, okay? It's important. But it helps when, like, if you were 34, then it would make sense to make friends that are like 30 to 36. Like, that would be a pretty good age range, or 30 to 39. That's probably a better option. You know what I mean? It makes a bit more sense, dude. But also, if you were a teenager, a good age range would be like 14 to 18. Because when you are a teenager specifically, something that comes to mind actually is the simple fact that the age range, there's, you know what I mean? Like, the certain age range is different, you know? It's gonna make a lot more sense to make friends that are like 16 if you were 16 years old, or 17 if you were 16 years old. But as a 20-something-year-old, it just makes sense to be in that community. And that community of like the 18 to 30-ish age bracket, I feel like is, you know, like, people say that it's not very common, you know what I mean? In the fitness community, let's say, that's an age range where, you know, like, it's tricky because there aren't like loads and loads and loads of people in their 20s. If you want to make some fitness friends, it's not going to happen for a long time, actually. I know for me personally, it's taken me years to make fitness friends, and I can get into that in a little bit, actually. But another thing, too, when it comes to making friends, was local. It has to be local. it makes sense because I was saying, like, I made friends from church, and joining a local church is what has been really helpful for me, because it's not like, oh, it's an hour away and I'll go one time and then not go for months. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if it's a short drive, when there's a church that's like short, the drive, then you will go more often. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if it's like an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours away, you're likely either going to go once or not very many times. So I would honestly say, like, this tip applies to everyone, and that is joining a local church, dude. To summarize the point about making friends from church, what helped me was joining a brand new church. I want to say this, though. When it came to joining a new church, I wanted to join a life group, and that was definitely what was very important to me, because I wasn't in or a group, technically a Christian group, to join, where it's very frequent rather than like once a month, it's weekly. So I needed to join a Christian group that is weekly rather than monthly or every other week. Yeah, so just about weekly at least. So it doesn't even have to be, let's see. It doesn't have to be 50 weeks in a row. Like if there's like a week where it's their off week, okay, that is fine, bro. But what was very important to me was joining a church where they had a group that I could attend. And I think for me specifically, though, it wasn't even just about joining a brand new church. So essentially what happened was, like, a while ago, I sent out emails, and it was very important to me because sending out emails, that's how I found a new group for me specifically. And I found a group to join, and, you know, like there was someone from the new church, and we built a friendship. So it wasn't even just the thing was, I wasn't like going to a bunch of groups frequently from the new group, because that's another thing too that I want to mention. So another point that I have to mention is that I went to different groups. So I would go to one, and then I would go to another, and then I would go to another, which I don't think I could say that I do recommend, because it is very essential to be committed to one group, actually. And the reason why is because then you can attend that frequently. You can build community. You can build connections and fellowship with that specific group, that particular group, man. Now, rewind to back then. One of my friends, though, from years ago, I remember he told me about this one group that was a weekly group, because they don't have it anymore. Because they don't have it anymore, actually. But he told me about this group, and I started going to it. I didn't go a bunch, but I was able to connect with some people from there, which is, of course, fantastic, bro. But yeah, so I connected with some people from there, and then eventually, flash forward, I wish there was more to say on this first group, though. Well, technically second, because my friend told me about this, and this is the second group I'm talking about. Now we're talking about the third one. Okay, so I know, fast forward, there's a new group there, and now I'm attending that one. That's actually monthly. I personally prefer weekly groups, but for me personally, in my experience, it doesn't matter too much if it's weekly or monthly, for sure. Because here's the thing. You could go to a group that does meet weekly and not even make any friends. You know what I mean? But you could go to a group that meets weekly, make 0 friends, but you could also go to a group monthly and make one friend. You could make multiple friends. You could make a lot of friends. So going to this group, I found another group that I'm committed to. So here's the thing. So now there are 2 groups I am literally sticking with now, bro. And I am very happy about that. So that is where I am at right now when it comes to friendships. And I am very happy that I am in those 2 groups. And the thing is, if it's 2 different churches, that's okay. Because here's the thing, I'm able to attend both groups. And I know that a lot of churches, like if they run multiple groups at the same exact church, I know it's best to stay committed to one so you can actually, like go to the one, rather than if you're like, I want to go to multiple. What ends up happening is you can't exactly go to multiple each week, because as humans, we get busy. You know what I mean? We're adults. We're not kids anymore, We're not 10 years old, And I think with having like the one group that does meet monthly, it's really good to have a group that it's like, yo, I'm going to stay committed to this. And also with the weekly group, I'm going to stay committed to this also. And with both groups, it's also, of course, like try to go as much as I can, which personally, I feel like, I know this sounds a little like a contradiction, because it's like, I personally don't want to just try to go. You don't try to go. That's not the thing that's going to help me with making friends and connecting with Christian adults around my age. It's not just trying to go. It's just going. So eating healthy foods is very important. Eating some fruit is important, so that way I'm not feeling under the weather and can't go on that group night if they meet like monthly or every few months. Because that's another thing too, is like I wasn't looking for like a group that meets like super every so often, where it's every few months. And a group that meets every few months, that's not like the group that I'm specifically looking for. That's what I was trying to say. That's not the group that I'm looking for specifically. I know for me personally, I benefit off of something that's more often, even if it isn't super often. So once a month, okay, that's a good starter point. And weekly is, of course, a good starter point as well. Like, both are good, because, hey, if I'm going to make loads of friends and there's a group that's monthly, fantastic. If I'm going to make more friends, like even more friends, like doing both, like attending monthly and a weekly group, then fantastic. Now, what I did not do was be like, you know what? Let me strike up a conversation with different people at these groups. And okay, like I built a genuine connection. I'm going to exchange numbers, and then I striked up a good conversation. So exchange numbers, and then peace out and not go to group again. No. You're not going to want to do that. And I think even outside of the friendship aspect for Christian friendships, it's still really good to go to these events, go to these groups. And when I say outside of friendship, like it's good because there's the discussion on the message. There's the discussion on the sermon. There's this discussion on the topic. So like maybe if you have different thoughts on the different questions that are asked. So it definitely makes sense to keep going to those for that reason. But if I'm like, yo, I want to make even more friends, another thing that I didn't do was be like, no, I'm not going to chat with people, because I have to strike up a conversation if I want to build even more friendships. And this video, by the way, it's not really just a how I made friends. Like it is, but it's like how I made multiple different friends, plus am making more connections. It's not just one or the other. And I think that's very, very important, bro. because you don't just want to connect with people. You want to build genuine connections, brother. So a very important point when it comes to making Christian friends at these groups, dude, is actually talking to people, bro. Striking up a genuine conversation, asking about their interest, answering their questions instead of just giving a one-word answer. So personally, I know for me, I am actually not going to want to give them just a few words answer, just because I want to show that I'm interested in the question that I am being asked. Another thing too, I've gotten compliments on my enthusiasm. So being real is very important. It's important to be genuine. If you are an enthusiastic person, then be enthusiastic. I am someone that I like to be enthusiastic and be goofy and be silly. And if that's who you are, if you like to be goofy, then be goofy. Like, I personally love to be enthusiastic, and yeah, like that's what I was saying. And I love that with enthusiasm, it shows that I like to laugh, even if I'm not throwing in humor for that few minutes or like a certain duration. It still shows that I like to be silly and goofy. Like, the enthusiasm definitely shows that, which is very cool and very fun to me, in my honest opinion. I would just say, just bringing in some personality, that's something that I think has been helpful. And when I say enthusiasm, I mean, so instead of being like, hi, I'm Drew, being like, hi, I'm Drew, is more helpful and more beneficial for me specifically. And even though I've gotten compliments on it, it's not even just for the compliments. I want others to just feel excited. I want to make others feel good and feel welcome. So that's another thing too, is making others feel welcome instead of being mean to them, because being mean is not cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's good to be nice to people, and being so much farther away from the meanness, like, it's just really good to be friendly. Another thing is not focusing on a niche. You know, like, I do videos on clothing, so I don't only talk 150% about clothing when I talk to people. I don't only talk about YouTube when I talk to people. I do think that being a YouTuber can be helpful, because it's like letting people know, hey man, I do YouTube. They might want to subscribe, but don't go to these. Like, I don't just go to these events because I want someone to subscribe to my channel, okay? But you know, the key is genuine friendships. Genuine. I've also made one of my friends from a Zoom meeting, and that's super good, and that's really fantastic. It wasn't like an all-day Zoom. It wasn't like a Zoom meeting that meets every day or weekly. It was a Zoom meeting that does indeed meet monthly, or was monthly. I don't know if it's a thing anymore. But yeah, so that's a Zoom meeting where the meetings that I went to were monthly. You know what I mean? So that's definitely something that has been helpful for me, and that has come a long way because we are best friends. And I'm going to be honest, being okay with initiating, being more than okay, just doing the thing has been helpful for me. It's been very helpful to actually text first and not even think about the whole idea of, oh, I'm texting first. Just texting the person. Just messaging on Instagram DMs or Snapchat messages. That's been helpful to be actually friends, so it's not an acquaintance. So it is indeed a friendship, actually. So that's been helpful. And what do I personally prefer when I talk to my friends? I mean, all of them are good, and I personally am not super specific where I'm like, I only want to text on here. Like, I think what's been helpful is being okay with using social media. There's a lot of videos that say to get rid of social media, but I know for me, I do have some friends where we talk on social media, but I totally understand that, like, talking on text, like, that's an option too. And, you know, like, some people, they have friends where they talk on text and Instagram DMs and on Snapchat. So, like, I'm talking about, like, where, like, you might have friends where, like, let's say, specific friend, you talk to them about, like, different things on Snapchat and something else on Instagram and something else on text. Maybe you reply to their Snapchat story or you reply to their Instagram story. So that's definitely important to mention. This is a long video, bro. So if you haven't seen my channel before, remember, I am Drew. If you aren't new, what's up, bro? I'm Drew. Definitely subscribe and click on the notification bell. I've made friends from the gym. How did I do that? So one of the things that has been helpful is just giving it time. You know what I mean? So I started working out several years ago. You know, on YouTube, a lot of people will say, you're not going to make money from YouTube for a while, you know? And with the gym, it's similar. You're not going to make some gym friends for a while, maybe. Some people, they make gym friends within 6 months, some people 9 months, and they'll tell you actually that, like, I haven't made gym friends for a while. So, like, 9 months isn't a long time, actually, though. Like, it is, but it isn't. So, like, 9 months, that's, like, fast compared to, like, how long I've been working out, you know? So I think that you have to be patient with the gym, and how I've made my friends. It's tricky because I can't give you, like, an answer where it's like, well, this is step 1, 2, 3 on how to make gym friends. I know for me, it's just going, just keep on going. That's, like, been the thing for me. And that's, like, don't give up, like, don't not go to the gym anymore. Striking up a conversation has been really helpful. It's just very much the basic stuff when it comes to making gym friends. I know a lot of people will give, like, tips like maybe ask for a spot, but what if you're not doing an exercise that day where you need a spot? So it's like, that one doesn't apply to me, you know? What if you can't really do that tip or that tip in the how to make gym friends videos? So what's been helpful for me is just flat out, like, over time, when there are people around my age, just striking up a conversation and, of course, being friendly. Maybe if there's someone that's just wearing a leather jacket in the gym, like, before they're working out, of course. So if somebody's wearing a jacket and it's like, I think that, like, specifically that one's more beneficial if you are friends with the person already, or you've seen that person a bunch of times. So, like, let's say your gym buddy or the person that you know from the gym that you've seen several times, they're wearing a jacket because it is pretty cold outside. Then maybe be like, yo, that's a sweet jacket. That's a cool jacket. I'm into jean jackets also. But also maybe, like, if there's certain shoes that they're wearing, you could still talk about jackets as well and be like, dude, like, I love wearing this with this clothing piece. So I think, like, with clothing, I think that's a really good way to make friends at the gym. But again, it is really much so, do you see people your age there that day, that time? There's no, like, specific formula for, like, how everybody can make gym friends, except for, I guess, specifically, like, talking to people around your age specifically. You know what I mean? So if you do know, like, maybe a friend of a friend or something like that, that could be helpful. But again, it's tricky because it's like, well, how do you make friends? I know for me, how to make friends, I think it's just hard in general to explain, really, in general, outside of the gym and just like, well, how do you actually make friends? But like these past 4 years, what has definitely 4 years has been, yeah, like these past 4 years or so, 5-ish years, I guess you could say, what has definitely been helpful for me is just striking up a conversation, going to the Christian groups and talking to people there. If they have a cool jacket on, just talk about it. Like if you both are wearing a jean jacket, because those are clothing pieces that are very common. I think that wearing the timeless pieces can definitely help when it comes to just in general, so that way there's something that you can talk about. But I know for me personally, like I would say that is helpful. That is helpful actually, because a lot of people do wear jean jackets. So like if there's someone like at the Christian groups wearing certain jackets or certain shoes, then I could say something like, I love wearing those shoes, or I love that clothing brand. God, first, remember Jesus loves you so very much, man, and read some Bible scripture, bro. That is all. Bye.